I constantly had thoughts of ending my life, visions of leaping from buildings, bridges, stepping in front of speeding cars, or crashing onto jagged ocean rocks. It felt like something deep within me was consuming me, something darker and more powerful than any ghost story I'd ever read. To numb the pain, I spent nights indulging in substances and seeking out random connections at clubs. My psychologist suggested that these reckless actions were a subconscious attempt at self-destruction. Friends advised me to find healthy distractions, exercise, morning runs, swimming, Pilates, but none of it appealed to me. Then, on a random Thursday morning, February 20th, at 7 a.m., I borrowed my parents' car and drove along the main road. I headed toward a small, neighboring town known for its indigenous roots. I didn't share my plans with anyone, fearing they'd label me as a misguided ritualist. But I had heard of a ritual there that claimed to reconnect people with their deepest selves, offering a chance to confront and heal from past wounds I desperately wanted to forget. Following Google Maps, I drove deeper into a forested road, eventually stopping at a gas station diner to refuel and grab a quick bite. I had no idea then that this spontaneous trip would take me somewhere beyond what I could understand. As I made a left turn onto a nearly hidden dirt road, a sense of unease began to creep in. The GPS kept recalculating, pulling me deeper into the dense, looming forest. Normally, I found comfort in silence, preferring the soft rustle of wind and the steady hum of the truck's tires over any music. But this silence felt heavy, unsettling. At one point, a deer appeared among the trees, its dark, curious eyes locking onto mine. For a moment, my anxiety lifted. I loved deer. They had a gentle presence that brought me a rare sense of peace. I quickly snapped a few pictures before it bounded away into the woods, its tail vanishing into the green. I pressed on for another hour, but by 2 p.m., the forest felt more like a trap than a path. The road twisted and turned, swallowing me deeper, like I was being digested by some massive, unseen creature. The image of a lonely, lost girl driving a worn-out red pickup through an endless forest crossed my mind, a foolish, broken soul trapped by towering pines. My heart pounded faster as fear began to take hold. The car sputtered to a stop. Despite the tank being full, my phone, which still had 40% battery, suddenly powered down. Somewhere in the distance, a low, guttural moan echoed through the trees. An animal, or something else. I was stranded in the middle of an empty road, lost in a forest that felt like it was closing in on me. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd come here hoping to find a reason to keep going, yet it seemed this place had decided I wouldn't leave at all. My thoughts always turned dark when I was scared. Frantically, I tried restarting the car, tapping at my dead phone, cursing every god I could think of. Later, I would find myself praying to those same gods, but in that moment, all I felt was helplessness. Walking back wasn't an option. I had no idea where I was, and without GPS, I'd be wandering blind. So, I locked the doors, curled up in my seat, and hoped that someone, anyone, would come down this road. Maybe another lost soul looking for salvation, just like me. Eventually, exhaustion took over. And I drifted into sleep. When I woke up, it wasn't night or day, it was something in between, an unsettling, timeless void. I wasn't in my car anymore. My seatbelt, my steering wheel, the comforting clutter of the vehicle, all of it was gone. Instead, I found myself standing in a bare, windowless room that resembled an abandoned parking lot. A single dim light hung from the ceiling, casting pale shadows on the concrete floor. For blank walls boxed me in, no doors, no windows, no cracks or seams that suggested an exit. Just a stark, oppressive emptiness. Panic clawed at my chest. My throat tightened, dry and parched. My stomach twisted with sudden hunger, an unbearable need gnawing from the inside. I tried to scream, but my voice died in my throat, silent, strangled. Desperation surged, and I pounded my fists against the walls, but not even a dull thud echoed back. How did I get here? How could I fall asleep in my locked car and wake up trapped in this impossible, doorless room? My mind raced, searching for memories that weren't there, fragments of time that had vanished without a trace. Eventually, the suffocating hunger and breathlessness faded. It was just a surge of panic. But the fear remained, coiled tightly in my chest. I wanted to cry. To crumble under the weight of my confusion, but instinct took over. My mind shifted to survival. I searched every corner of that barren room, desperately trying to find a way out. Time lost its meaning, hours could have been days, and my sanity frayed at the edges. Trapped and exhausted, I made a choice, to escape quickly rather than waste away slowly. I slammed my head against the wall, once, twice, 3 times, until my knees buckled. The pain throbbed through my skull, but I was still awake, still breathing. Exhaustion swept over me, and I blacked out. When I woke up, the cold, hard ground beneath me was covered in fallen leaves. The forest surrounded me, tall trees reaching toward the sky. Relief crashed over me like a wave. I screamed, laughed, cried, and pressed my hands to the earth. My head throbbed, and when I touched my forehead, I felt the dried blood. It was real. I was back. That I didn't know how I had shifted from that room to the woods, but I didn't care. I was alive. I could breathe, I could see the sky, I had a chance to escape. Without hesitation, I started running. Logic and caution had no place here. I didn't think of predators or statistics. I just ran, desperate to find anything familiar. And by some miracle, I found it, my parents' red truck, gleaming in the dying sunlight. Tears blurred my vision as I saw my phone lit up inside with missed calls from my mom. Relief swelled, but confusion lingered. The doors were locked, just as I had left them. How could that be? I didn't have time to ponder. I grabbed a rock and smashed the passenger window, squeezing through the jagged glass and collapsing into the driver's seat. My phone was still on, the keys still in the ignition. I twisted them, and the engine roared to life. The old radio crackled on, playing a Beatles song, and laughter bubbled out of me, wild, uncontrollable, a mix of joy and madness, but my laughter died abruptly. The deer stood there, just beyond the tree line, watching me. Its dark, unblinking eyes no longer seemed gentle or innocent. They felt wrong, filled with an intelligence that shouldn't be there, something almost human. I didn't wait. I threw the truck into gear and sped toward the road. The deer moved, sprinting alongside me, its gaze never leaving mine. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. "I'm going to survive, you piece of shit," I whispered, teeth gritted. I floored the gas, heart hammering, until the deer was nothing but a memory in the rearview mirror. I tried to calm myself down, my head still throbbing as night began to settle in. The GPS seemed to have finally gotten its act together, guiding me home, just 40 minutes left on the dirt road. Relief started to bloom inside me, but that place wasn't finished with me. My car stalled again, the engine sputtering into silence. Frustration and fear welled up, ready to spill over. And then, footsteps, several of them, crunched against the gravel. Flashlights pierced the growing darkness, blinding me. 11 men surrounded my car, tall, white, all in uniform with guns on their waists. For a split second, I felt relieved. Maybe they were park rangers or rescuers. But that hope shattered when one of them barked at me to get out of the car. "Get out now, or we will shoot," the tallest one snarled, kicking the front of the car. Instinctively, fear rooted me in place. As a woman alone, surrounded by armed men, my mind raced to the worst possibilities. Please, I got lost. "The authorities already have my location, they'll be here any minute," I lied, stepping cautiously out of the car. They muttered among themselves, glances exchanged like unspoken secrets. The tallest one didn't flinch. "The authorities don't come up this mountain," he said coldly. "Nor the locals. Nor should you." A chill crawled up my spine. 031. "Take the girl, don't scare her." His voice was unyielding, absolute. A man behind me gripped my arm, not painfully, but firmly. His voice was a low whisper in my ear, "Cooperate, and you'll get home safely." I barely had time to process his words before a blindfold covered my eyes. Panic surged. "Please, don't hurt me. I just want to go home," I pleaded, my voice shaking. They led me forward, deeper into the forest. I thought about running, but the cold weight of their guns against my back warned me that I wouldn't make it far. Tears stung my eyes. My head ached, my body ached, I was exhausted, starving, terrified. Eventually, I felt the ground beneath my feet change, smooth, even, not the uneven forest floor. The biting chill of the wind faded, replaced by an unsettling warmth. Then, behind me, a heavy door slammed shut, trapping me inside a place I couldn't see. I spent several minutes shouting for answers, my voice echoing uselessly in the confined space. Faint whispers reached my ears, disjointed, cryptic, mostly a tangle of numbers and codes I couldn't understand. Occasionally, I caught phrases like empty spaces, a term that sent a shiver through me as I remembered that bleak, impossible room I had woken up in. When I tried to ask more, someone harshly snapped at the others not to mention worms around me again. The weight of exhaustion pulled at my legs, and I felt like I might collapse at any moment. Before I could process much more, someone shoved me forward, and I heard the heavy click of another door closing behind me. My knees buckled, and I sank into what felt like a chair. The blindfold was ripped away, and I blinked against the sudden light. The room I found myself in was stark but more ordinary, a dark, one-way window, fluorescent lights, and a single door. In front of me sat a table with a bottle of water and a simple sandwich. It sent taunting my empty stomach, but what surprised me most was the person sitting across from me, a woman. Her gaze was steady, unreadable, and for a brief moment, I felt like I was under a microscope. "You can help yourself," she said calmly, nodding toward the food. I didn't hesitate. I devoured the sandwich and gulped down the water within minutes, my hunger and thirst overpowering any sense of caution. The woman watched me closely, her expression unreadable. She wore the same black uniform as the men outside, but her face was visible, sharp, composed, with brown hair streaked with hints of gray and striking greenish eyes. She looked to be in her 40s or 50s, a face that seemed accustomed to withholding answers. "Do you know why you're here?" she finally asked. "No," I replied, my voice unsteady. "You entered a restricted area belonging to the United States Army. No civilians are permitted on that road." There were signs, a fence. "Didn't you see them?" I racked my brain, trying to recall anything, a warning sign, a barrier, but all I remembered was the endless, open road. "No, I didn't see anything." "I'm sorry. I didn't know. Am I going to be fined or arrested?" The woman made a note on the paper in front of her, her face still unreadable. "Calm down. I just need you to tell me everything you remember, what brought you here, what you saw." Nervously, I began to explain it all, my reasons for coming, my search for the indigenous village, my struggles with myself. My voice trembled as I described the strange, empty room, the oppressive silence, the suffocating fear. Part of me worried that sharing too much would make things worse, that I'd vanish into some unmarked grave. Yet, I kept going, the words spilling out until I reached the end. When I finished, I hesitated and asked, "That room, was it part of the government?" The woman met my gaze. Her expression still impenetrable. "No," she replied firmly. "Then what was it from?" I demanded, desperation in my voice. She ignored my question, her expression unwavering. "You'll be given an 4 here, and once we're sure you're stable, you'll be discharged. You've been through a lot today, and we just want to ensure you're okay before releasing you." I had no choice but to comply. They took me to another room. This time, a kind-faced man who looked like a nurse attended to me. He gently placed the 4 in my arm, and before I knew it, I fell into a deep sleep. I woke up abruptly, my head pounding from a loud clattering sound, the distinct noise of a bustling diner. The smell of fried eggs and bacon filled the air. And I realized I was slumped over the counter. The place was crowded, the morning sun streaming through the windows. A waitress called my name. Finally woke up, huh? Must have had quite a trip. She set down a plate of avocado toast and a cup of black coffee in front of me. Dazed, I ate quietly, the bitter coffee grounding me. My cell phone was in my pocket, fully charged, no missed calls from my mother, no photos of the deer. In my other pocket, the keys to my parents' car. After paying, I walked out to the parking lot, and there it was, untouched, spotless, the window intact. It was as if nothing had happened. But the scar on my head and the faint mark on my arm from the fall were too real. I checked my phone again. It was February 24th, a Monday. I had been gone the entire weekend. I considered going to the police, but exhaustion and disbelief weighed me down. I just drove home. Days later, I tried to dig for answers. I searched for records of any army reservations near that road. Nothing came up. I looked for the Instagram page of the indigenous reservation, but the account had been deleted. The more I searched, the more I felt like I was spiraling. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of something lurking just beyond my reach.